All right, it's Wednesday, August 19th, 2020, and we're going to start the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, approval of the August 5th, 2020 Select Board meeting, and B, August 10th, 2020 Select Board emergency meeting.
So approval of the minutes.
Correct.
Make a motion to approve A and B.
Second.
All in favor? Yes, we are. Item 3, review of treasurer's warrants payroll 61 and 63, accounts payable 62.
Make a motion to approve A and B is read.
Second.
All in favor? It is unanimous. Open session, we do have a guest. Would you like to speak today?
Well, he's first on old business.
Yep, he's
Okay,
next.
moving along. Old business, roadside brush cutting.
Our roadside mowing is complete. This is Mr. Rick Drew from Aggressive Cuts. He did the roadside mowing and he has the machinery that can do the brush cutting that we talked about. So I went out to Charleston with him and looked at the center road because you were concerned with things like wood chips all over the place and ornamental trees and bushes, and so I brought you back pictures, and Mr. Drew would like to speak to you about his machinery.
Great.
I'm here to see what you want to do.
What we want to do.
Okay.
Well, we also looked at the Silvers Mills Road.
What do you think of that?
It's a good place to start.
It's quite a tunnel.
Yep. And then where you've had it done, it's already grown back. So I'm here to find out what your plan, what do you want to do? Do you want to make it so we can mow it and stay after it? Because I mean, it's not scary. I try to keep the price down to help the towns. Okay, I'm not buying any island in the Caribbean, I just want to work. But the biggest thing is, what I've done with a lot of the other towns is, like 7 miles is a lot, but you can't ditch 7 miles in a year. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be able to, your choice is to either excavate it out after it's all down, because then you got small little pieces and you're not throwing trees in the back of the dump truck, or you can flip it. That's just roll it over so your stump tops go down.
Right.
My biggest concern is if you cut it and leave it, it comes back tenfold.
Yep.
So I'd rather see you do just a little bit every year and then go back in, clean it out. And then for $85 a mile, I can keep it mowed. And that's with the excavator, because I bought a big mower head on it with the hammer teeth like what my mowers use. So that's what it will look like once we get it all back. So basically it'd be like $850 for 10 miles after you got the project completed. And everything comes in phases. You go down through, you cut it, you get down the end, you say, geez, I should have got that one, I should have got this one. And I'm pretty thorough. You know, I can guarantee 18 to 20 feet. After that, you know, I'm almost sitting straight up in the air and I get nervous. I cut the both sides of the road, so it's $500 a side. That way it's all uniform, you're not just going down one side, you're doing it all together. But I just want to know what you guys want to do. I think 3 miles max to get started is fine. You know, kind of spread it out just a little bit. I know you want to do more, but there's just no way you're gonna get it ditched. I don't care who they are. They're not gonna get it done. You know, clean up.
So what you're saying is you would come through and do your work like what we see in the
Yep.
picture, and then we should excavate and remove the stumps.
Yep.
Which makes sense, because then you get.
Because
all
if you're
that
gonna do
stuff.
all
Yeah,
this.
Yeah, yeah.
To clean it up, why not just keep it clean? And you guys run the numbers. I know the other contractor, you're not gonna get it done for nothing. And it's a shame that the guys are that way. They want one job, they gotta retire after that. You know, if you can find somebody that's got a rig, You know, it's not gonna tear the hot top up or anything, go in there and clean it out. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. But if we can get the rocks and the stumps and stuff out of there, number one, you get to defeat the growth path. For $85 a mile for me to go through with the 6-foot mower after my guys are cutting, you know, I can go back down through and we keep it maintained. And I mean, everybody I've told, all you gotta do is run the numbers, you know. You won't have to-
I don't even have quite, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't, you don't have to talk any of us
Yeah.
into the concept, it's just,
Yeah.
my bigger thing right now, when I think about this, is, number one, we are so far behind.
Yeah, but you're not the only ones, cause everybody's been.
I know, but we already have issues when it comes to plowing, that the branches are in the road, and where it's contractual, that's an issue. I mean,
Right.
that's part of that contract, is we're supposed to be getting this stuff out of the road.
The second phase, the ditching phase, do you have somebody lined up for that?
No, but I
Well-
would think if you were going to pave a road and doing some ditching somewhere, maybe that's where we start, is somewhere we're going to
Well,
have.
unfortunately, though, it doesn't align with the roads that necessarily need it most.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, you take Silver's Mills, that, when you first pulling on, that was, the last time that was ditched was probably 15 years ago, on down that
Well,
right
we're
side.
not really creating a ditch, what we're doing is we're trying to clean up what excess is left.
right, right,
That way we're not getting that growth to come back.
right.
And they don't need to dig a 40-foot hole, you know, 3-to-1 slope. Those tractors will go out there if you make it so they can mow.
Right.
You know, and what I'm looking at is, I'm not disagreeing with what you got to say or nothing, I'm just looking at longevity down the road. If we're gonna do this, let's do it right and get it done.
Right.
And that way you don't have to worry, because I talked to the plow contractor, he totally agreed with what, you know, I had to say about it. He kinda agreed that, you know, he said when you guys.
He's half of the agreement.
Yep. He,
That's
Oh,
it.
oh,
I'm
this is
just-
the older
Yeah.
portion of the agreement.
Correct, right.
I have to, you
No,
know,
I know.
Yeah, there's.
you have to talk to everybody, because
Sure.
it's not just one person.
Right, and I mean, the thing is, yeah, in an ideal world, we get it all straightened out for them to plow, but that's just not gonna happen, right? You know, we gotta do stuff, you know, we just can't do it all.
I just don't
Well,
want,
the problem is we have a lot of roads that, technically speaking, if we don't tackle this aggressively, whether it's this way or whatever way, you know, we've already got places where you can't stay in your own lane. And next year is gonna get worse, and the year after that is gonna be worse, so if we don't have an aggressive plan, or maybe there's two plans, maybe we start doing 3 miles the right way, but we need to figure out a way how to get around to get some of these other ones done.
well, I don't mind doing a little bit extra cutting, but I just don't wanna see
Right,
it cut left and then we're back to square one.
Correct.
and then we're gonna do
Because
another.
you're just wasting your money.
Yep,
Right.
Yep,
Well, the stuff that we did on the French's Mills Road with a similar approach, it needs to be done again. Because we didn't,
And you just did that, what, last year?
2 years ago.
2 winters ago. 2 winters ago.
now, when you mow for $8.50 a mile, is that both sides of the road as well?
Yeah.
Which incidentally was awesome.
Yes.
Our road came out great.
Yep,
That piece of equipment, I mean, there's so many things leaning down now, you just go right underneath that and it's, I mean, ideally that thing wouldn't be laying down, but it didn't. You guys just did a great job. So.
Because you gotta remember too, this isn't mowing, this is just
oh, I know.
Yeah.
getting the
Oh, I
other
know.
stuff. So your price is $55 for the regular mowing. And it's $1,000 a mile for the brush work. And then it's $85 for maintenance.
And we're talking both sides, when you say a mile, it's always.
Yeah. You can't cut one side and not cut the other.
Well, it's just.
Do you know
You
Yeah,
can't believe the phone calls I got when we did this before, because we cut the side of the power line. Because
The
everybody,
power line will cut and trim 10 feet around the wire. And that's all they're gonna cut.
at their discretion.
Because I get in a pissing contest, excuse me, all the time with Lucas and Ashland, because they say I'm taking work away from them.
Oh,
Well, I heard it the other way, because we cut on that side, so we used, you know, that's CMP's responsibility. Well, maybe so, but
CMP
it's
is
ours.
responsible for 10-foot square around the wire.
And I can chase them for a very long time before I get anything.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, Silver's Mills already, I noticed that this
Like
morning.
somebody
when I
said, it's
come out
at
of
their
the dogs.
discretion.
Yeah, it's out through the
They're doing it
wires
because
everywhere right now.
it's better for them, not because it's better for us.
100%.
Right, right.
Yeah. Do you know?
CMP will have no argument with you when they see it down the ground.
Right, I'm sure, because it's less out of their.
And
pocket.
actually, where you charge them a fee for their power poles in line, because not every power pole is CMP. It's usually, CMP can run 100 yards between poles. When you see a pole in the middle, that's the telephone company, because they can't hang that big wire that far restrained. So, one option you have is you need to call CMP and say, look, we're starting a new program in our town, do you mind chipping in?
Has anyone been successful with them? Chip?
I don't
Oh.
call that to ask.
Okay.
It's like, I do a lot of towns and I mow the state roads too, because everybody's fed up with the state. I can't get involved in that. You know what I mean?
Right, yep.
What do you know about herbicide?
Spraying,
Yeah,
that's a bad thing.
bad to get into,
Especially
or?
down in Searsmont, they took out 125 old fashioned apple trees, and the owner came unglued. And that's a lawsuit
Wait,
But CMP's still spraying.
in some places.
Yeah,
So was Mills.
yeah, I've seen him do it
They
in
sprayed
Garland.
it a year ago.
Oliver Hill's
2 years
all dead. I assume
Well, the
it's
state
CMP.
still sprays in some places.
Alright.
Yeah.
But the state was escorted out of town in Searsmont because they killed you can't go get a seat, you're not gonna be able to grow in bed, they're dead. They're
Yeah, no,
gone.
I get it. And if you ground a couple up, people would be upset too, but,
Yeah.
I mean, mistakes happen.
You gotta
but-
watch what you have.
Yeah,
Now, you can limb apple trees when there's no fruit on them, but you can't cut them completely down. So anything.
I've always heard that, but I can't find that anywhere.
Cut a few down.
I understand, but I can't find that anywhere as far as the statute.
I mean, I've been doing this for a while.
Well, I think he means
so-
survivability.
they won't
It's
survive.
not
Correct.
against, it's just saying it won't survive.
Right.
It's not a
You
statute.
You can trim them, but you can't whack right in the tree.
They're pretty hardy.
Yeah, I lost one
You take
right,
one of the stumps,
right in
throw 'em
half
back.
with that last snowstorm.
Yeah.
And now
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
now it's like thriving, cause it's got a root system for twice as much tree, I think,
Yeah.
so anyway. But,
No, because we had somebody here in Public Works that I had heard that many times, that
Oh,
you can't cut that, that's an apple tree. It's-
Well, you're not supposed to cut flowers in bloom either.
oh, is that right?
I had one town that just, they're over, I mean,
goldenrod,
What?
no, that's not a flower.
okay.
You mean like,
Daylilies.
daylilies and black-eyed Susans
Yeah, with the
and,
big, well, black-eyed Susans,
I
that's.
mean, I've got,
It's subjective as to what a flower
Yeah,
is.
this is
This isn't,
discriminatory.
even high school biology would call that a flower.
yeah, really?
But it's like a daylily you can get away with, lilac bushes, if you cut them down, they come back
Yeah.
tenfold anyways. The old-fashioned ones, I don't know about the store.
Yeah, hybrid ones.
And another thing we do too is when we're going down through, we get to the front of a house or something and, they've been trying to do something and stuff like that. I have no problem getting out and knock on the door and say what's too much.
Oh, that's
That's helpful.
very helpful.
So.
It
once
is,
again,
but we've
I-
already run into situations where landowners have tried to stop us from cutting trees that need to come down too, so.
Yeah, that does have, it is a double-edged sword. I mean,
Yeah.
if they say, gee, and
I don't
you
think
know
that-
it's gonna hit the plow truck, you gotta cut it.
Usually what I do is I say, I expect these trees limbed, when I come back, if they aren't limbed, they're gone.
Oh, okay.
Plain and simple.
Reasonable.
So, okay.
I'll give you a chance to clean up your front yard, cause I'm not here to landscape it. But if I come back and they're still hanging
still
out the
not-
road, they gotta go, and I'm gonna take them.
So they're given for fair warning.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Very good.
Another thing that I did in Searsmont and a few other towns is I notified everybody, which would be your job, to let them know what's going on and what you're trying to do. Get everybody involved in it. If people don't want it cut, have them put a ribbon on it. A couple ribbons or a cone or something. So, it just helps, I move right along that way. Because some people put different things out there. Another thing that I've come up with a lot of the towns is, you own so far to the end, from the center line out. So I get after the code enforcement officers, because I hate 6x9 ledge. I hate people building stone walls out in front, planting trees and stuff like that. So now, a lot of towns go out and drive a stake on new houses that are being built, and they just tell them right up front, from that stake out to the road, you can't have nothing.
Right.
And that eliminates a lot of growth and stuff. Because people go out there to put a rock wall in, they'll plant some trees. Boy, that looks really good, and then 5-6 years down the road, I ain't, you know, that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and then it
Trees
becomes
grow.
your problem.
yep,
Right.
yep.
So, I mean, it's either you're gonna have power, your roads are gonna get cleared off, you know, because the further back you have your guy pushing back, the faster your roads get dry out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's the other issue right now, like Silver's Mills is such a
Yeah.
tunnel that,
You know, because that water gets in there when it melts during the winter time, you know, you get snowbanks here, it goes underneath the hot top, because that's the warmest place, and then it lifts it.
Yeah.
That's how your potholes start and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to leave it up to you. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, or I'll do whatever you want, but I'd just like to see if we're gonna do it. If you wanna go down and get a lot and still go back, you got 2 years to clean that up. So that gives us a little bit of time to do some cleaning. If you wanna get some more brush cut, that's fine. But I just don't wanna do it, and then 3 years later say, geez, what are you doing this winter?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to have that cut again.
No, I appreciate that, you know, we gotta have a game plan.
Because it's easier to mow, it's cheap,
Mm-hmm.
in, gone. I mean, you guys like what you saw, so can you imagine me running 2 tractors or the tractor and the excavator down one side of the road? And getting 13, 14 feet and keeping it mowed nice?
I think it'll make a huge difference on plowing. I really do. I think the roads will,
And, yeah, the
Yeah,
maintenance of
'cause
the
that's-
roads.
that's
the plow, the thawing out this winter, I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
look, the sun's gonna be able to get in there.
Yep,
That's really what the state's doing. They own enough, they take ownership of it, so they're just mowing it.
yeah.
Look at 95. I mean, they're mowing it out the width of a football field, so they're not cutting brush every year.
Right.
Makes total sense.
Well,
We just gotta get there.
down, from Waterville down, the state mows now.
Yeah.
Everything up my way is contract.
But they don't let it grow to brush.
But I'm not gonna tell you that I told them it was about time they started cutting it. They got me for a lot of money, I have no use for them whatsoever. Because I used to mow for the state, but you lose $250,000, that's not fun.
How many miles of road do we have, Brady?
28,
28?
She does 28.5 or 0.7 for the roadside mowing. I think we have close to 30 in all. I
Okay.
don't know what exactly we don't.
I thought we mowed our own.
Well,
And I know that you had said to my husband that you prefer to do it later in the fall because then you can.
well, it's nice to get the leaves off the tree,
Yeah.
because you see in there. I don't mind doing like Charleston there, they wanted it done, and they're just a few miles up the road, so whatever.
Right, but it makes sense, then you can see a little bit more of what's going on and not stoking up your
Well,
equipment.
it's almost fall now.
Yeah, it's not far away.
This time next month.
So I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we want,
It's gotta be done. I really like his strategy.
Yes.
To me, long-term, that saves the town a lot of money. You have a better product and all that, but
I think we really.
Whether we get our
need to come
ducks
up
in a
with
row or not.
mileage commitment on our end, that this is what we're gonna do every year.
Yep.
And to tackle it as a whole, instead of, sit here today and say, and I mean, I know we can't commit to you that we're gonna do X amount every year, but I mean, we can develop a plan for ourselves and try to maintain our board to commit to this.
right,
we could even come up with a policy for the town manager to follow.
Correct.
And at least it would take some effort to undo it.
Right. But at least there's something to go forward that,
right, some structure,
what we need to get this under control and what we need to go forward to maintain it.
right.
Well, it's like I said, you got a couple of years, to get somebody in there, and it's like I said, you don't need to dig a hole. You just need to go in there, what I call raking it. Pull your stumps out, get it all cleaned up, just have the guy go through with the bucket a little bit, if there's some roots or something sticking up, that's fine. But the biggest concern I have is once that's cut, comes back tenfold, it's gonna be a never-ending situation.
Oh, yeah, I know very well.
But I'll do what you want.
Okay,
All right, that's great, we'll come up with, Barney will communicate with you.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna do some,
Yeah.
probably
Oh,
more
yeah.
than you might expect, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
yeah,
And probably some this fall.
Yeah,
oh,
If you
absolutely.
can- if
Well,
you
I
can
mean, I
work
don't
us
know, you gotta let us know what you got available as far as time wise or when you, so we need to give you.
is there a
an answer.
mileage limit you would give us this fall?
I don't do no limits.
Okay, all right,
I do like 3 miles minimum, you know, by the time I come up here, get set up, and get going, and I
Okay.
make a couple dollars.
Sure.
How much, the time wise, you got time to get us in and get,
Yep, I gotta go to Albion next, I got 3 miles, I gotta go down there and do a road, cause they need to ditch it and get it paved before it snows. So I could squeeze in after that if you wanna do something, be about 2-3 weeks.
and do you do this right up to when the snow's so deep you can't do it, or
I
how?
work all winter long, every
Okay.
day, 7 days a week.
Now in the winter, what are you doing? Are you doing the same type of
I
work?
never stopped all winter last year. Yeah, list about a mile long.
But you're not, you can't cut brush when the snowbank's 9 feet high.
Snowbanks usually aren't that high.
Well, we wanna
They
do
were
that
on my
before
road.
the snow.
that was the problem on it, we
This
had,
does cut through the snow, cause I mean, it's,
Jeez.
that was the problem that we had complaints about over on
Stems.
French's Mills, we got stems over there in places this big.
Yeah, yeah.
you know, if I see 3-4 feet, no. But the winters have been very mild. Another thing why the trees are growing all the time is because the climate's changed. You know, the trees didn't freeze at all last year. I worked every tree I took down, I worked to get them down, because I love cutting all this when they froze, they just shattered.
Yeah, that's the case we had 2 years ago when we did that road. And
They shattered everything.
we had pieces of beech that far, you know, it's
Well, another thing
40
too
yards.
is the type of head they use.
That's, yeah, that's,
This is a,
Way beyond my
this
skill
is
set.
a real forestry head. You know what a fellow buncher is? With the carbide cups on it?
Yep,
Yeah.
you
We
brought-
saw them.
Yeah, yeah,
And this grinder, I try to get as close to the dirt as I can.
great, love it.
I guess I'd be interested to reach out to a few different people and see what we can, I mean, it's pretty hard to get an exact number, but we're not talking about a full excavation and making it a lawn when we're done.
No, it's just raking it.
We just need to
Just-
cut out the bigger rocks and the stumps so we can mow it afterwards
Yep.
and keep it down.
Yep,
And just like I said, it doesn't have to be perfectly
right,
flat.
right,
Right.
it's just getting that, the roots
You know,
systems.
you see the way they cut now, so you just have to try to picture that in your head going out maybe
Yep.
12 feet on both sides.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
And you drive down
Oh my
through there and it's
God.
all,
they
it's
just
all
mow it every year.
That would be awesome.
And I don't think you're gonna place, another thing too is, deer kills down as far as accidents, cause we do this to a lot of towns now. We have towns that cut 3 times a year, that might be something you're gonna have to think about down the road, once you get it cleaned up, you might have to go 2 cuts a year. You know, and I mean, like I said, it's just mowing, so I mean, it's not,
It's not expensive.
it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars
Right.
to maintain something you worked hard to get.
Right, yep. That's great,
It's a win-win-win to me.
it is.
I mean, we just gotta figure out logistics of X amount of miles and we want an X amount of year plan and this is how many we gotta do and this is how we're gonna maintain it.
Yep.
So,
Oh, I have one more question. Where'd you get your shoes?
Those shoes,
Yeah,
Amazon,
Amazon?
yeah.
What brand are they? Oh, I'm a sneaker freak.
Rocks, I think, I really don't know. I
I like them. I like them.
it got you a hell of a deal for some mowing.
they're very comfortable.
They are nice, they're like ankle high.
Yeah, I'll do 50.
Yeah, well, I have to have ankle height.
That's great, that's
But,
good.
like I said, you guys, I ain't going
Good,
Great,
great.
we'll have a plan.
Perfect, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you
no
so
problem. Nice
much, we
meeting you,
really
everybody.
appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Rick.
Yep, have a good evening.
You too.
Yeah, I don't know who to have,
You what?
who to have do the ditch work, because I'm afraid it'll get out of control. Yeah, we don't want big deep ditches, we want somebody to break it out and move
Yeah,
it.
I just want it cuffed over, smoothed out.
If you had somebody, I'll just use a name, because if Warren and Chris said, okay, yeah, we get what you want, and so they knew they were gonna get 4 miles a year, because every year he's gonna do, and then they're gonna come in, and
Correct.
so we'd have a system.
Right.
And it wouldn't take because of course, once you got that done, he's mowing after that, so
Right,
you don't
right.
need them to come in again, and geez,
And that may be the solution because they got the summer to do it. I wouldn't say you got 2 years to do it, but you got the summer.
right,
We
and,
mowed this year, this has gotta be done next year.
but just somebody who, and it would be communicating with him maybe, and, you know, it could be Seth, but somebody who knows, okay, I'm gonna get 5 miles a year of this, it's not really raking.
No, just, raking with a
Just-
small excavator.
Yeah,
Right, but that's
just
what I'm
roll it
saying,
over
though, is-
and pack it down and move
Right.
on.
But if
That's
you
right.
do that, knowing you got the whole summer to
Yeah.
get this done.
Right,
Then they can use it as a fill-in
Yeah,
when they don't have something else,
yeah,
you know, go over and work on it 3 or 4 days.
plus you know exactly what we want, so that when we want you next year, you're doing exactly the same thing again.
Correct.
right, you're getting the same grade
Yeah.
and it all,
That's the only thing that gives me pause, but, and then I step back and say, it doesn't really matter, we gotta do it either way. If we do it correctly, we'll have this lined up and it will flow. If we do it
Right.
incorrectly, just means we're gonna be doing this again and again and again, but we still have to do
Which,
it.
which we
I'm-
kinda thought
I'm
we
s-
were going to be doing anyway.
But I'm still not afraid to reach out to somebody that, I mean, I understand he has his own opinions of spray and everybody has their own views of that, but we have yet to actually reach out to anybody that does that for a price.
And all we do know is it's being used every day,
Sure.
you know, so.
I wouldn't be afraid, and if we could find somebody that would, not saying that I don't like the mow idea, but if we had somebody that would spray, that would help a little bit too.
Well, if we had sprayed the French's Mills Road, much of that low area there, that came out great, he could mow that now.
But that's the problem, if you don't put the excavator in there to knock the stump off and get the big rocks
yeah,
in,
yeah.
he's not gonna put his mower on.
Smooth it out, yeah, just rake
He
it
doesn't
out.
want a road, he just wants something
Right, it
close.
just, right, so that he can mow it, and not
Right.
hit.
Not destroy his
Yeah, yeah.
flail.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the question is how many miles do we wanna get starting with this year? And then we've got really a year, we got until next year to
Right.
get our guy lined up.
he's gonna do my road, we're contracting it with him, and he's like, yep, if I'm there, I'll do your road. I mean, I'm paying for it,
So then after that, you're gonna have him come in and mow, or you guys will mow it yourself?
we'll mow it ourselves.
Right, yeah.
Right. And I mean, we could do it, but he can do it so fast.
Sure, no, and you've
crazy.
got an excavator, you'll flip everything over,
We're
and then you'll be able to
gonna
mow it after that,
Yep.
yep, that makes
Yep.
total sense.
Well, then I'm gonna send whoever I want down and say, look, you're gonna do this like Jody.
Well, maybe we could hire,
Maybe Rick could do
Rick
the
could-
raking.
yeah,
He could.
no question.
But I can see where that would be a benefit for a lot of contractors that, unless you're a contractor that knows you're gonna be busy all the time,
Right,
and if you are, you're not gonna wanna do this anyway. But
Right.
for a lot of contractors, they know that equipment is setting. This is a pretty good filler job that,
That's what I
when you
would
got a
hope.
whole summer to do something,
yep,
I can see where they might be willing to do this and grab it as a whole and do it to their schedule
right, yep.
and save us some money, but.
Ideally, you'd have somebody with a rubber tire excavator, or at least rubber tracks, I don't know if you use a mini, but.
Oh, they're gonna run right down through there anyway, they're gonna do
They're
it,
gonna
throw
be
it in
on
the
the
truck.
side,
They'd be right in the ditch.
Maybe,
you know,
yeah.
obviously if it
I
unloads,
mean, you
but
got
still.
culverts you're gonna have to go around each time, and
Like right up over it.
And if you had like a mini excavator, it'd even be better. Cause he's only grinding that stuff that,
12-inch.
yeah,
I don't think you need a big,
right,
but you don't want you know what I mean? A
Too
nice
small.
medium machine would
Yeah.
probably work really good. But,
yeah. And you couldn't use a bulldozer.
no, 'cause you're gonna wanna scratch that, I would think you would, you know, you're kinda gonna scratch it
Yeah,
all
you
off
gotta-
with
you
a
gotta use
grapple,
the-
with a
yeah.
thumb, and you're gonna throw all that in the
Yeah.
truck, throw
Truck
away your
and
big
take it
stuff.
away and smooth it out and you're
Yeah.
gone. Oh, that wouldn't take very long.
We're not gonna add anything, just scratch it out,
Right,
make
right.
it so it's somewhat, when it's done,
Smooth it
yeah,
out.
pitch your rocks back.
Yeah.
so.
Okay,
I think
well,
it's doable.
so at one point we just have to sit down and decide what we wanna do, where do we start?
Do you wanna,
How many I mean, seriously, we got 30 miles of road, how long do you want this to take? I mean, we can't be
Well,
talking
I
about
think-
this for 10 more years.
But how much money do we have to do
I was gonna say, I
per
think
year?
probably we were talking 3 miles. this time, correct? And then we budget.
What do you got left? What else do we need money for?
I still have to get the ditching of East Sangerville done, and I've been researching the line road. And I can't come up with the agreement.
Uh-huh.
You asked
And
for-
what about Jack?
I asked Jack, I asked Lois, and I asked Irving. And I still haven't come across Lois has seen it. She thought it was in 1918.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Long ago?
Irving thought 1907.
Think about,
Jack
How
checked
long
his
we've
files
shared
and all
that
he had
road.
was a map. He didn't have a document of what. So,
what was Irving's opinion as to spending money on that road?
oh, he didn't give me an opinion as to what we needed to do, although I'll,
No, I just mean,
No, who's
just going in and throwing
right?
$30,000 at that road. Could you,
I
could
didn't.
you,
think
yeah,
there
okay.
is.
'Cause that's
But
really,
I bet he'll tell you the same thing Chummy tells you, when it's all said and done, don't just put some more gravel on it.
no, I
I
don't,
care
I
about
get,
that. I just wanna know who's supposed to pay.
whether you put gravel on it or whether you do, a bang up job, how do you fix a
Everybody-
road that you don't own? And then ultimately, you're gonna have to do that
Yeah.
unless you work with the other
Well,
municipality.
well,
Oh, that's why we have to have the agreement.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jack said that he has the same problem with Garland and another town. He has 3 or 4.
they're always named the line road too.
Yeah, he has 3 or 4 lines.
It's funny,
Yeah.
They're all
Yeah,
around.
what a coincidence.
I just find it odd that nobody has the agreement. But, I mean, if Lois has seen it, it has to be here somewhere.
Yeah, it's.
And
in-
Dover doesn't have it either, you asked him, he doesn't
I
have.
asked him.
Yeah.
It's in one of the old books. She said it was at a special town meeting. So I've been reading and reading and reading, but I started where she told me to start and I haven't found it yet.
Wow.
And Irving was about 10 years earlier and I didn't find it in that book either. So I'm looking.
Jeez.
Okay, so that project aside, money-wise,
Yeah.
where do you, we,
We had about 70,000. We're talking about 15 to finish East Sangerville. We were talking close to 40, at least by Roundy's estimate, to do the line road. If you don't do the line road, then you've got a good chunk of money.
I'm gonna say right now, it doesn't look like the line road's in the queue, because
Right,
we
we
can't
can't-
advance.
Can't advance, right?
So, we certainly could spend $20,000 on brushing.
I'm just trying to look at it not only dollar wise, but when you got 30 miles, how long do you want it to go?
No, we have to have the money, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't,
I was just thinking do the minimum this year, because you didn't budget for it, and then put a good chunk
yeah,
next year. like-
plus that gives us a chance to get that second phase lined up.
Yeah.
Cause if we, let's say we did 10 miles, and then we don't get it, and then we get behind, and all of a sudden now
Oh,
you're
yeah,
redoing.
Yeah, that's a mess, that's a
Yeah.
mess.
So, if we did 3 or 4 miles, I think, we certainly need 3 or 4 miles.
I'm just thinking if you did, figure it out, just
10
5 or
miles,
6
then
miles.
it's re-
Well,
I mean, figure it out to get a 5-year
Silver
plan,
Mills-
or,
Yeah.
you know what I
Silver
mean?
Mills is 5.74 miles.
Does the whole Silver's Mills need to be done?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of.
Well, you mean, you're saying
Start to finish.
start to finish, but no, a lot of the Silver Mills Road is pasture. I mean,
You
that
still
is-
pay by the
You
mile, doesn't
pay
matter.
him by the mile, it doesn't matter. If you've got a great big field in there, or you've got a great big
Yeah.
line of woods.
Oh, okay, well, if you go from the Dexter town line all the way to Newtville, there really isn't much to
Not
cut.
much there, so if we went down to, yeah.
So, I mean, you
Down
could
to the inter-
him at the
down to
French's Mill intersection, I think,
Yeah,
and then head,
I'd start
To
with
23.
and go.
yeah, but exact, that's the
That's
end
the
to
way
start.
to go.
Yeah, and yeah, I got a feeling by the time he gets to the Gray's place, it'll be about done.
yeah.
Well, it's catch-22, I get it, but I'd keep going, because his thought process isn't like what we've ever done. I mean, he's gonna take you right back to a
Yeah, but if you
three-run
go
road.
to Gray's place, there isn't much, maybe a couple little patches, there isn't anything all the way to the town line. Maybe it's Swampy Acres there,
Yeah, you got a
you
spot
know,
on
little
through there.
piece.
Yeah, but you know what, he may actually, this is that last mile, what do you do?
Yeah, you clean
You know
up
what I
those
mean?
2 little
Yeah,
100-yard
yeah,
stretches
it's
and,
pretty
Correct.
cause that's literally, I don't think there's more
We
than.
ought to
a
measure
couple of-
that and see what that is.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Cause that might be the, you know, you go down through there and say, I don't know what the hell that is, say it's 4 miles, 4.2.
Right, but you do the whole thing and call it 4.5 or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right
yeah.
where I was going.
Yeah.
From there to the line, there ain't nothing. You know,
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
you charge us to just do the whole road?
Yeah,
And that would be great to knock
That'd be
off
great.
that whole road.
Yes.
And you know, there's a pretty good stretch from Bob's up to beyond the camp road where you are, that isn't a lot there, but you still gotta be done.
The other side of this is, the other part of it that we haven't even talked about is, with all the storms we've had and all the stuff in the lines and power outages and trying to clean up all this roadside, I mean, if we do this, we're gonna knock all that out. You're not gonna totally eliminate, but you're gonna get rid of a lot of that.
that's right, that's, yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
no question.
That's exactly.
I've got trees right now that, like I said, he successfully mowed under them, but you're not gonna snow plow through them.
Right,
There's an apple tree, I mean, it's still,
right,
the owner's mowing underneath it, but
yeah,
That's why I didn't really have and I didn't really wanna bring it up, and I'm not sure if he would be willing to do it. Is there where we are so far behind, is there like a middle road? You know, would he be willing to hurry up and get us back at least to the ditch? Obviously, and really it's only on one side because you do have the power lines on the other, so we're somewhat good. But that would get us taken care of as far as the emergency, or to be able to plow and maintain the road. And then focus on X amount to actually get back the full 3 rod or whatever we are. You know what I
And
mean?
he wanted to know for sure what all the roads were, and I'm like.
Yeah, we're gonna
tell you
have to,
all of them.
gonna have to research every one of them he's
Oh,
on,
yeah.
cause
You're gonna,
well, we should know that anyway, I mean.
Right.
should.
it should be
That's
cataloged.
all- Yeah,
It should be right in our road book, it's not in, or there's
Some
a
of-
file up in the, I don't know if those are still up there, but this,
Some of them are, yeah, they're up there. Some of them are, some of them aren't.
right.
Some of them are pretty well documented, like Silver's Mills used to be the Avenue Road. It was
Right.
a county road, so we know it's 4 rod. But
Can you imagine Silver's Mills clear to 4 rod?
I don't think there's much that isn't 4 rod.
Me neither.
Yeah, I don't know. For sure, I mean, I've looked at a bunch of all the old ones. The records for discontinuances and abandonments are from.
Right, but all the rest of ours-
John Smith's house to
yeah.
Joe Schmo's house, and I'm like,
When we were researching.
Yeah, we went through this.
This goes back to the Gray Road, it seems to me there was, the default, I think, is now 4 rod. In other words, unless you can demonstrate 3, it's 4.
Right.
that'd be good.
that, yeah,
And I got involved in this because of the conversation of what was happening over on the West Road, remember the stakes?
yeah.
And unless you can demonstrate 3, it's 4.
Well, there you go.
Now,
It's not up to
I would
prove
confirm
it.
that with MMA, but that's,
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I can-
but we know for the purposes of this project, the Silver's Mills Road is 4.
That's 4.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, start them at 23 and send them in there 4 miles.
Right,
How much is it a mile?
1,000.
That was about,
That's $4,000, that's,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah, what a great experiment,
Yep,
yeah.
okay?
I like the idea though for Silver's Mills, under the circumstance, do like we talked about, actually measure that, get us down to Swampy. See where you're at.
I'll drive it.
4.2,
Maybe
4.
he'll, on his way over, ask him to just, literally, there's over a mile there, that's probably
He's seen
100
most-
yards.
He's seen most of the road, because we went out and looked at.
Okay.
Silver's Mills.
But that
He's
last
seen
mile
Be
to-
nice to just clean it up,
He's
Yeah.
seen to the intersection, because we did turn around.
okay. Yeah,
Because I was like, well,
There
you
isn't
probably can't even mow this, you know? He's like, oh, I can mow this.
And I wonder about the pines down on the other end, if those are too big and he's not gonna be able to do it anyway. Once you get down closer to the extra line, that whole, going down, that whole left-hand side.
it's a pretty good ditch there. I don't know though, I'll look at it, I'll.
I
take
just
a
want, I
look.
mean, when you go out there, when you say you're gonna go to 4 rod, but I don't know if the size of those trees are larger than what he would want to do anyway.
Some of those look like, they were like, it's like a tree farm.
Right. It's all field pine, I mean, it's,
Well, I don't.
a lot of them are pretty,
So 4 rod, how many feet from the center line?
33,
33?
66 feet for
We
4
figure our
miles.
road is 10 feet, roughly, because most of that road's 19.
Yeah, most of roads.
So you're
Barely
basically 2
19.
more lanes out there.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
How great is that?
Well,
If you look at those,
there's some lawn ornaments that are gonna be affected by this. Some gazing balls are going to be, yeah. In fact, there might even be some old Cadillacs that need to be moved.
discovered in the,
Yeah.
That's where I parked that.
All right, so I think we're all kind of on the same page there.
Yes.
I'll check that measurement out, just so we have an
Yes.
idea. Are we talking about half a mile or 2.5 miles? So we'll, at least I'll know that. And, okay,
That's great.
and I will check with the Newts, I will check with
You mean as far as doing the,
Seth, I will check with Eric's, maybe Jordan, do you think Jordan would?
I would ask any of them. I mean,
want somebody who really kind of gets that this isn't ditching.
right,
This is, getting the big rocks out,
And
flipping it
stuff
over
rocks.
where it needs
and
to
they're gonna have the
be.
whole summer to do it.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they can pick away at it. It's a
yeah,
filler.
Yes,
It's a filler job.
that's the key word to this is, as far as price.
And if they can, treat the town right, they're gonna get to do it every
Yeah.
single year.
yeah,
So we can get all 30, whatever miles.
yeah.
Yep, they got like 10 years worth of work.
Okay, and I'll check, I will get you on that.
Okay, B, fire department ordinance.
Alright, I know you guys like to have this fire, you do have it in your emails somewhere, but I didn't know if we might want to go over at least just to skim it and have it in the meeting, and so it's at the front of our brains and we can think about it. I don't know if you want to take the time right now, or, I put in your packets my draft, the main statute, and MMA's, proposal for to establish a municipal fire department.
So what's the one, Bri, that you got colored on?
That is my draft.
Okay.
And did you
For us.
use this
I
as a
used-
skeleton
I
or
used,
what,
yes,
as
I
a
used
template?
both of these.
I see.
I used some of our old ordinance and then decided I didn't like that and pulled most all of it out.
Can
Just
we-
start from scratch.
Can we go over yours really quick, just because we've got some different color coding, so.
Let's just do that, okay. So first it says Article 1, name. I think I'm just gonna go back to Article 1, title, just like MMA,
Yep,
because I think that's gonna be cleaner. The
Yep.
ordinance shall be known as the Fire Department Ordinance of Sangerville. Article 2, purpose. The purpose of this ordinance is to define the powers and duties of the chief and members of Sangerville's Municipal Fire Department. An additional purpose of this ordinance is to provide the maximum legal protection available to the chief and the municipal firefighters, and to best protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Sangerville.
why did you have that in blue?
Because we're gonna.
But you added it in, right?
Yeah, we're gonna call it the Sangerville's Municipal Fire
Okay.
Department, and just in case. we weren't
Put up
going-
top your
Yeah.
Sangerville Fire Department?
So, yeah, you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
municipal and no municipal. In the title, no
Yeah.
municipal.
We right now have a municipal fire department, and
Oh.
that is what the,
So does the title need to be Sangerville Municipal Fire Department? You see what I'm saying? On Article 1?
I can do that.
No, I don't know.
I would I would think it'd be cleaner to have the same language.
Name,
That's,
same name.
yep,
The
So
name,
do you?
the title. I don't know.
I think you should put municipal in if we're going to do both of them the same.
Okay, so,
I don't, I mean, you can, but I don't know why it matters. Everybody, we are,
A municipality,
right, we are a
yeah,
municipality.
it's almost saying
yeah.
Yeah,
Sangerville Town.
right.
But when you refer to fire departments, there are municipal fire departments, there are volunteer fire departments.
Oh.
And- I think that's,
It differentiates
it
the
differentiates.
type of fire
yeah,
department
the
that
legal-
you
Okay.
have.
Okay,
Correct.
the structure is a
Correct.
municipal fire department.
It's a department of the town, yeah. And it's not a volunteer organization.
Or maybe to be cleaner, can we just call it Sangerville Fire Department and then actually verbiage it that way?
Well, that's what she did in the article, one, and then the specificity of municipal is, we need that defined somewhere. Now, you can redefine it over and over if you want to, that's fine with me, but.
Well, I did not put definitions in our draft, but the municipal has definitions.
Correct.
Their municipal fire department, the organized firefighting unit established pursuant to this ordinance. So I didn't bother to put that in there.
But for example, if we had a volunteer fire department, your Article 1 would still perhaps read the way it does right
Same
now,
requirement.
and
Yeah.
then you would identify it as a
As
volunteer
volunteer.
in the
Correct.
second
Could do.
portion.
Yeah,
Okay.
So that's what you really have done already.
Okay, alright, so that's good,
alright, so,
alright,
no, that's why we're doing this.
okay.
So we can all look at the same thing and think about this. So organization is Article 3. The Sangerville Fire Department is an on-call fire department and shall be under the supervision of the fire chief. B, the Board
So
of
that's
Selectmen.
where I think you should have your municipal.
You what?
That's where I think you should be defining it as a municipal, under your
As far as
organization.
organization,
Correct,
this is a municipal fire.
correct.
Oh, no, you could repeat it there,
Yeah.
Okay.
you could repeat it everywhere after that if you wanted to.
No, but I think
No,
that's
no.
where, cause you're actually, now you're talking about the organization.
Right,
So
but you're gonna
that's
have
the-
it again in Article 4?
No, but what I'm saying is you don't need it anywhere else, but I think it is important to have it when you're talking about the organization.
Organization. The Sangerville
Purpose
Municipal
doesn't matter.
Fire Department is an on-call fire department and shall be under the supervision of the fire chief. The Board of Selectmen, in consultation with the fire chief, shall from time to time determine the complement of the department. That is an addition, and because we're really concerned about the number, that's why I actually
So-
put it in there. It was in the old ordinance.
The complement,
The number of firefighters that makes up the full,
is that what that word means in this case?
in this case.
Okay.
We can
So
change-
there's no
We can
language
simplify it.
like that, though, from MMA regarding,
Correct.
So we don't really need that in there.
well, what we're all,
Well,
whatever we land on, I think we're gonna send to the town's attorney
Correct.
for a blessing, but that's not a bad start. But,
So that is something that is not in MMA's.
so why would you want that? Why would you not want that? I mean, are there,
Well, it is in our old one.
yeah.
Clearly
right, but we
defines
never
what you.
did it, it's never been done.
No, but I mean, it's clearly defines how many member roster you're
Right,
supposed to
but
have.
what do you think the original intent was including that in our old
I
one?
don't- I don't
And
have
MMA
part-
doesn't have it.
I don't think you need it. I wouldn't have it in there at all.
That's-
Because I think it's more of a, it's an open.
Well, it's a budgetary thing, really.
100% it's
He
budgetary.
can't have 100 firefighters if he can't afford to pay them.
Correct.
So-
And you don't know that
So
until you
it
do the
does give
budget.
us
Right.
control,
And
it
you
does give,
can't have a fire department if you don't have a certain number of,
right.
Right.
if you don't have at
To-
least 4
to-
firefighters to go to all mutual aid calls, I
Right.
guess is.
I see that as
Intent
an,
is the other way, is
Yeah.
they've used it as, we're allowed to have a maximum number, not a minimum.
my guess is it came about because a select board, once upon a time, felt like the fire department was getting too big, and they wanted to be able to say, that's your limit. Just a theory, but,
Could be, back then.
yeah,
And I think now we have the opposite.
Right.
issue.
Correct.
it probably
Right,
is.
right.
In fact, now the language I would wanna have is, they can stipulate a minimum. If you don't get to this, then you got a problem. But I'm kidding, I wouldn't go either.
Well,
I'd just scratch
it's
it.
something.
Yeah, I agree with you. MMA didn't include it for a
No,
reason, I
we
think.
Alright,
Then you could leave it as a budgetary item when necessary.
And the thing about where we are right now and it seems like there's a lot of intent where it's the select board's responsibility, it's the town manager's responsibility, and this keeps to go back and forth. We really want it
Clean
clean.
that up,
and
Right.
that's,
Then we can define, then you
Right,
know what
right.
you're at.
yeah.
well, you were talking municipal fire department and the state defines it. Maybe this is a better definition. Municipal fire department means an organized firefighting unit established under municipal charter, ordinance, or bylaws, we just leave ordinance, to prevent and extinguish fires. And if authorized by charter, ordinance, or bylaw to provide emergency services. Now, I think that's, comes under duties here.
That's almost verbatim of the MMA's purpose.
Yep.
MMA quotes statute
All the time.
most of the time.
Right, but I mean, as you was reading that, if you
Yeah.
read their purpose,
Yep,
that's really what that said.
yep, it is, and I did the same thing. Except that the first part says, the Sangerville Fire Department shall prevent and extinguish fires and provide firefighting protection within the municipality of Sangerville and elsewhere as provided by mutual aid or other contractual agreements approved by the municipal officers or the municipal legislative body. That is word for word from MMA's.
Okay.
What's interesting about that is the municipal bodies, they just redid that never got approved. The fire chiefs signed it, but as far as I know, none of that went back to it didn't go back to us.
Which
Oh.
part?
The
mu-
contractual
the-
agreements.
The contractual
Yeah.
agreement.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they'd redone it until I asked somebody outside of town.
Okay.
Yeah, so you never see it.
No. But by this,
So
we're
they're
supposed
not
to.
following it.
So, by this,
But this wasn't in our ordinance.
I
think there was something about that.
think it was,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't
I don't know
think
if the
anybody,
verbiage was
I don't
exactly
think
the same.
anybody remembered that we had an ordinance until I went digging through piles of stuff and then it was like,
No, because we talked about the ordinance 2 years ago.
I have it,
Yeah.
I have it,
yeah, I
So-
have
Okay,
copies if
okay.
you want.
I have it. Okay,
Did you find it or?
yeah, I'm just looking real
Yeah.
quick, well, would it be under Article 4, Section 4? No?
No. So the other thing that Article 4 says is the Sangerville Fire Department shall also be authorized to provide emergency services by responding to and managing other public safety emergencies, including but not limited to medical emergencies, hazardous material incidents, or natural or man-made disasters. And in a different color, I say verbiage direct from the statute. Does it refer to EMS licensed activities? Because I don't believe we are.
We're not.
Also, we're not certified for we have nobody certified for hazmat. So I guess you'd be out there directing traffic and keeping everybody
Yeah,
back. I mean,
for example, the state might send somebody to deal with a hazardous material. We could support that
right.
if we had this language.
And this language also, I think,
But is that
we call
a
them lift calls where
lift assist?
lift assist where
Somebody falls on a bed.
EMT calls them to come help. I think technically we aren't supposed to do any lift assist except when.
Directed by
Northern
someone
Light-
who's
Northern Light
authorized to do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
calls
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
says, and I don't know if this language
Yeah,
is necessary before we can even do that. Probably it is.
I mean, if we were gonna send something to the attorney, my opinion would be drop a period after public safety emergencies and get rid of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't even have including but not limited to, don't even put a specific, I mean, it's,
Yeah, it might be the best,
Yeah,
That's very good.
because what if
Yes.
you missed something that wasn't
Right,
here,
right,
you
and-
can't do that,
well,
because
it
that
already
was.
says but not limited to. so-
Right, so
So
it's,
what's the
so why
sentence?
make a list?
yeah,
Right, right.
it's a necessary
It's,
detail.
yep. Correct.
Okay.
Good, Bill.
Article 5, Fire Chief, appointment. The Fire Chief of the Sangerville Fire Department shall be appointed by the town manager for a term of 1 year. Okay, main statute says that the Fire Chief is appointed indefinitely unless you have an ordinance that says otherwise. And MMA says that towns that have a town manager should think about having the town manager do the appointment versus the board, but we've had conversations recently, we're trying to clarify who's responsible for what, so I don't know if town manager is the right, we've always done select board.
And was it always for 1 year? I'm not seeing.
Yes,
Cause I think other towns where it's, I don't know, I almost think you have to do almost like town manager recommends, but the board does.
right, I bring it to you, or
Right.
or they bring recommendations to, well, at least for other officers, I don't know.
The
That's something
problem
to
we
think about.
ran into was, it just seems at odds, if the select board's gonna appoint, But everybody we've talked to agrees the select board should not oversee in terms of if you had a write-up or a disciplinary issue. No, don't touch that. But is that only because we're the appeals board? If we were not the appeals board, could the select board oversee? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know that answer.
I think not. If you look at the suggestions around a town manager form of government, which we have, the select board stays out of all personnel stuff.
Correct.
And that's where that appointment, just as much as it seems like
Still
you
code
want it,
enforcement.
I'm not sure you really do want it.
I don't think you have a choice. I think by a municipal fire department, I think it has to be that way.
Well, when we did it, we had a meeting with the town's attorney, and he didn't really direct us on this.
No.
It almost seemed like we were kind of being coached in two different directions.
Right.
And MMA says you might want to think about it. They don't
won't tell
say
you.
you should do this or that. They're like, you might want to think about that.
But I don't know why we can, right here, do the same thing, do a recommend with an appointment by us, and then have we, if this approves, and have the town manager is responsible for, have them oversee.
The other thing is our,
Then we would have our own clarity, wouldn't we, by the ordinance?
I just don't know why you
I
do the
brought-
hiring.
I brought
I
our
think you have to, that's what I'm saying.
personnel policy, because
Oh, well, the MMA says it can be either way. They say, or town manager.
yeah, they do.
And do it.
Yeah, now it's clean.
Right. I'm just curious.
Now, the town manager still answers to the select board, so
100%.
And I was thinking somewhere disciplinary.
if you don't like the way something's being done, you go to the town manager.
Correct.
I think that
I
works.
think if you
That
look
works. That's
at
good.
That's
our
good.
personnel
I like it.
policy, gives me oversight. The town manager shall have the authority to take necessary disciplinary action, which may include such remedies as oral warnings, written reprimands, suspension with or without pay, demotion or dismissal. So
To who?
Town manager.
to any employee.
Doesn't count, because that's it. I don't think that's what he was saying in there. I don't think it's
Well, because of us appointing.
Ordinance.
correct.
I think that's the entanglement. If we weren't appointing, then it would all be her.
Correct.
So I'm leaning
Let's
towards
change it.
changing that.
Well,
Giving it to the town manager
Right.
Why
and
we-
getting us out of it.
Cause I know, well, Texas got town council, but the town manager, the police department answers to him, fire department answers to him. I mean,
Guilford's the select board.
is it?
Well, the town manager, it all goes through the town manager, but I'm pretty sure that the select board is still appointing.
Wouldn't surprise me. All these towns have their kind of traditions
Correct.
of doing things.
But I'm not afraid of letting it go.
No, I support
I can
cleaning
see
it
where
up.
it'd be more beneficial if it's all under you, as long. And we write it and we submit it to to our attorney before we do anything, we're gonna know. I mean,
Yeah,
Right.
if he says, no, you can't do that, or you ought to do
Let's
this,
do that.
let's leave it there.
Yep.
okay, well, then B is compensation. The fire chief's compensation shall be established by the municipal officers. So there's,
Well, what's kinda interesting here, and I don't know if I wanna put it here or not, because we're only talking about the chief, but they all of the officers have a structure right now. So why isn't that, we could put that under the personnel policy. And actually have all your officers be part of that. Cause they all get paid minimum wage and then we give them a call stipend.
Yeah, and it's all part of the budgetary process.
Right.
I mean, you can cut it any year you want.
Right.
You might lose somebody, but as a select board, you have that authority.
Right.
well.
I
but
mean,
you're-
unless your policy says you can't, but.
Well, that's why I'm saying if we take it out of here and have it over there, it's easier.
All the employees are basically dealt with
Right.
under that.
Have this be the minimum amount to deal with that you need to have and have all your structure done over there. Was my thought. And then you never keep it simple and then that's, it's policy, you can.
Yep.
I agree with you. I mean, that puts all your
Because I
employees
don't
on the
think
same.
it's- none of them
sheet
are in
paper.
there now.
Great. I think it makes sense.
On-call denotes an employee who is subject to call-in, such as fireman. She shall be compensated for hours worked at a rate set by the Board of Selectmen for actual on-call time, training, and practice sessions. On-call employees are not entitled to benefits as outlined in this policy. They are, however, subject to the personnel policy rules and regulations.
There's nothing in there that, as far as I know, we've never, the board itself has never actually set the numbers.
No.
No.
Nope.
Compensation. All employees of the town shall be compensated based upon their range of duties, responsibilities, and level of work performed as established by the town manager.
That's true with all your employees.
Right.
All of your employees.
I mean, yeah,
Merit increases for hourly employees will be based on employees' annual performance evaluation and awarded by the employee's anniversary date. The town manager will seek prior approval of the select board for all merit.
There's exceptions in there for the fire department, so everything that you're reading, the intent was for your action, wasn't about fire department.
They are, however, subject to the personnel policy rules and
I
regulations.
understand that, but
Okay.
there's clearly things in there that
Okay.
say exempt.
Does it say, okay?
There is places,
Well, okay.
that's what I'm saying, is I think what we really ought to add there is a section about fire
Fire
department.
department.
sure,
Just personnel.
Right.
Pay, structure, stipends.
yep,
Like a subset.
yep.
Yep.
Or at least define the authority to do all that.
Correct.
It might be as simple as just the town manager.
I mean, typically speaking, most farmers just pay straight minimum wage.
Yeah,
There is no merit increase, there is no annual increase, it's
Right.
minimum wage, but, which is totally different than what you're reading, is what I'm saying. That's based on, that's your regular,
right, so
Right.
maybe that's the language, something along, this is your baseline, minimum wage, anything beyond that, the town manager would have to get approval from the select board.
correct.
So,
Same way with
so it's
stipends.
just automatic,
We
it's
can
kinda
figure out
autopilot,
the stipend structure.
yep. Yep,
Which is odd.
What's that?
I don't know, the stipend structure is a little different. I think all your officers get at least something, and your engineer
Yep,
gets.
still considered an officer,
So,
that's why. Yeah, everybody that wears a different colored helmet really
yeah,
gets a stipend on top, per year, and then they all,
what's a typical stipend?
depends on what they are.
I was gonna say,
No, but, yeah, well, let's, look,
the lowest officer, I think, is $50.
oh, okay,
Oh,
that's right.
okay.
And the highest officer, I don't think, is more than 500.
I don't know what they
And
are.
what about the chief? Is that also, or is that completely different?
No, that's what I'm saying, is you get minimum wage straight across the board for every hour.
And then he gets a
And
chief
then he
stipend.
gets
And
a
then he gets
chief.
that X
And
amount
it's-
of dollars
Okay.
for being a chief.
And it's smaller than whatever you guys get for stipend.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so it's,
Okay.
you give an idea how much we've talked about it.
Right.
We're not
That's
even,
not-
no, we don't know
I do know.
But I don't know, to me, that's easier to do something.
Keeping it in the personnel.
Well, you're already talking about employees, you're already talking about pay and how you're gonna do it.
I
Why
totally
not
agree.
just
Yep,
Yep,
Have a firefighter section right
Yep.
there and it's
that's
out loud.
great.
and the only thing, yeah, if you wanna have the select board involved in stipend changes, to sign off on a change like that, that would be fine.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to deal with. And,
That's good, I like that. Very good.
so I'll just scratch B.
Yep,
Here it is.
You're trying to get this on one piece of paper, aren't you?
All right, stipends. Oh, it's more than 500, 650 for the chief and 450 for the deputy chief, 250 for the assistant chief, 150 for the captains, 25 for each lieutenant. Well, that's kind of strange because no. I'll have to work this out, because two people got $25 stipends.
that aren't lieutenants.
Well, they're lieutenants, but then the next lieutenant got 125.
Oh,
And the
engineer?
engineer.
Same as the cell phones are now through the personnel policy.
Yeah.
Because that was used to be quite a bit different.
We'll have to,
So that's why I don't know.
No, no, I
you
feel
have
like
to
it
do
was
it here
great.
because you can't do it in the budget, because the budget is one line item.
Yep.
We-
Oh, 100%, but you
Right.
don't want much over here either, you just
Right.
wanna deal with it over there with everything else that you
Yep,
got.
yep.
And you keep it right with everything else you're talking about.
Okay, so I'm taking
Take the
compensation out,
completely out.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then, so powers and duties or duties and powers, the fire chief shall have the powers and duties set forth in 30A MRSA subsection 3153, except that administrative rules and regulations I can't even say it, promulgated by the fire chief shall not be effective until approved by the municipal officers. The problem with that is that, okay. He has direct control of all municipal firefighters and the performance of firefighting. That's pretty straightforward. He has to provide a training program. Has to make sure that they maintain all the equipment. He has to prepare and submit annually to the chief administrative official of the municipality a budget relating to fire protection activities. He's supposed to suppress disorder and tumult at the scene of a fire. But then it goes on to subsection 3, unless otherwise provided by ordinance, he employs all municipal firefighters and appoint a deputy and other officers in a municipal fire department and remove them for cause after notice and hearing. So, it once again puts,
so what about if you just make this, cause we're already gonna say that you're gonna appoint him. What if we said shall not be effective until approved by the town manager?
okay,
Cause it doesn't wanna be approved by the municipal officers, cause he's gonna be, if you're gonna appoint him, right?
right. I was worried about him having the power to hire whomever he wants.
But that's what I'm saying, shall not be effective until approved by
Yeah,
you. Does that
Yeah.
cover us?
Yeah, that basically is your stopgap.
instead of the municipal was by the town manager.
And then that
We've
way,
had
if you're
issues-
worried about it, he's not supposed to do until it goes through you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to approve it.
Okay.
That's how unless I'm,
That makes it cleaner and clearer, right?
No, you're the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
as long as we're all interpreting what that's gonna do. that'd be-
Because you might have information that a chief might not have. So the chief might come to you and say, I wanna hire this individual, and you'd say, no, actually, you can't.
Correct.
And you might not even wanna share with them beyond that. So, that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
with HIPAA and everything else, you don't, a lot of.
Oh, no, I
you don't wanna be sharing.
can, even as briefly as
Yeah.
we've been doing this, I can think of scenarios where that could happen.
I would try to verbiage it that way and then just make a note that when this does go to the attorney, or have that
That's our
conversation.
intent.
This is our intent, is this
This is what we
verbiage,
want. Right,
without putting a lot of clunkiness in this.
right.
Now, the way this is written, do you think the town manager will have the authority to oversee the chief's overseeing of his employees? In other words, could the town manager say, hey, I wanna go through your personnel files, I just wanna make sure you're doing things the way they need to be done? Would the town manager have the authority to do
I
that?
think she already has it right now.
Do we need to have any language in there for that, or?
No, I mean, I see this at the end of the day, she's his boss.
I agree with
I mean,
you.
I'm seeing that we've moved this whole thing from us to her to him. So part of that structure, if she would be able to oversee, look at whatever she wants to do.
Yeah.
That would be another attorney question though, just to make sure.
Yeah, I just would want her, or the town manager to be able to
Correct,
say, I wanna look at that file.
correct.
Maybe the town manager is aware of some behavior on the part of one of the firemen and wants to make sure it was addressed.
Correct.
And if it never was addressed,
Then you-
he or she should have the authority to address it.
I don't know. Let me just check. So the chief under law has
And we may need, if this doesn't work, we may need them to come up with some verbiage for us, that's all.
Okay, so unless otherwise provided by ordinance, fire chiefs shall be appointed for an indefinite term, we fixed that. The municipal officers shall determine the compensation of the fire chief, we fixed that. No, we took that out, so.
Well, we're gonna fix it within our policy.
Personnel policy.
Yeah, we're gonna
We have
address,
to have an ordinance, a charter, or,
Then put compensation, fire chief's compensation will be outlined in the personnel, town of Sangerville's personnel policy.
in this ordinance, it will say that.
yeah.
Right, that's what I'm
Yep.
saying, Ray.
Yep.
Instead of being established by the municipal officer, you just
Yep.
reference back to that, and that's where it'll always be.
Okay. There we go. And then as far as duties, we were down here. Okay, we have, it says unless otherwise provided by ordinance,
What about the,
he employs all municipal firefighters and appoints officers.
Is that why you have in blue, do we want the chief to have the sole hiring powers?
Part of it was
That,
the issue that, do we want? But then also appointment of officers.
Officers.
It's not how they do it now, and I don't know if
How do they do it now?
they just do it.
if
They
vote.
they take a vote.
Oh,
But that's why I'm wondering if that shall not be effective until approved by the town manager.
No.
If that will take care of every bit of that. Cause you're talking about all of his duties and powers, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So. That gives me approval,
Correct.
but does. It makes more sense for him to appoint than it really does for them to elect, frankly. I was just thinking that through.
and they
They-
elect
Well, I
right
think
now?
that's kinda what they do. They vote and suggest and he approves, right?
No,
Which-
he brings the list over, so I don't know.
He just brings it over to you and says, this is who's who, this is who.
Right, so you're gonna approve it
Yeah.
going forward.
Right.
Or
So-
not, you
or
might
not.
say, I'm fine with all those except that one.
Yep,
You could do that,
yep.
I like that.
Or you could change however you want that done. I mean,
Yeah, you literally could say, I wanna roll in this.
right?
But you're still going all the way back to election and or approval within the department, that's what you're talking about, right?
Right, I was thinking. yeah.
That's what you're, so right now, they all elect, and then the fire chief says, okay, this who is approved to do this.
Yeah, then he
Yeah,
just
then
comes
they-
over, this is my officers.
Right, so that's sort of internal to how they figure it out.
Right.
Does that need to be written anywhere? Is that written
Look,
anywhere?
No,
Okay.
but
That,
it says in statute, it says that he appoints, unless in the ordinance it says he doesn't appoint, so I was,
I see,
but what we've said is, he appoints but has to have my approval.
right. That's
Yeah,
it.
to
Period.
me, that's.
Period. That's great.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I don't think you really want your town manager doing all the appointments of the
No,
officers.
no.
That's not,
No, but on the other side of it though, I can see where he would suggest, and there may be a situation that the fire chief may not know about,
that's exactly right.
where, yeah, we don't really wanna do that.
99% of the time, he's
It's
gonna
gonna
bring the
go-
list and you'll say, yep, you're all set.
Yeah.
Right,
But that one exception, you'll have the authority to make.
right.
Correct.
Right.
That's the
Because
clarity.
we
of
we
what
already
we
had
need.
a hiring issue earlier.
Exactly,
correct.
yeah,
Yep.
right, we've been there.
We've been.
Yep. So that's good.
Now, D, I said the fire chief shall submit a written monthly report on the activities of the fire department and shall discharge such other duties as may be required by the municipal officers.
Acquired by the town manager.
Okay?
Is this in the original policy?
No, I think I added this in because we seem to have a communication issue.
Okay.
And I thought if I mandated.
You don't need it in your ordinance, he's your employee, you don't need
Right.
it in an ordinance,
True.
you can mandate that, period. That's the only,
Yeah, I see where Dale's going. He answers to you. If you say every Monday morning
It's
we're
your
having a
role.
meeting, or every Monday morning we're having a meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll remove.
got nervous. I
Right, you
thought-
can set that up
Thought my
as the
favorite
employee.
pen just died, I didn't like that.
All right, so then, where are we?
So get rid of all that, right?
This is gonna be one page down. Change the font.
Tighten up
So,
the-
Go to
Go
eight.
Article
to the, go to the borders.
yeah, firefighters, shall have the powers and duties set forth in 30 AMRSA 3151 at sequence, I would guess. But I took it directly from MMA, and as set forth in any administrative rules and regulations pursuant to Article 5C above. 5C is the duties and powers of the fire chief.
Okay.
I don't know that, I think that language is too complicated, but, let me see.
And are you referencing the same, oh, okay.
It's references right back to the same ones.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay, it's
so-
a different subsection.
The
Correct.
subsection 3151
Is
is
for-
definitions.
Okay,
It
okay.
defines municipal firefighter
I
means
get
an
it.
active member, whether full-time, part-time, or on-call of a municipal fire department who aids in the extinguishment of fires, or an individual who receives compensation from the municipality for aiding in the extinguishment of fires, well, whatever. So, and then it says, I would guess that sequence means the rest of them is, well, but I don't know that. Because 3154, firefighter duties. Firefighters are under a duty to extinguish all fires to which they are called, to protect lives and property endangered by fires, and to carry out all other related activities as directed by the fire chief. I kind of like that better than putting in. I don't know, it's up to you guys.
Well, I think you have to have it, don't we? I mean, it's in MMAs as well.
It's in, I copied MMA's,
Yeah,
I just
I
meant
don't-
like.
Yeah, I think you just leave it.
Okay.
I think it's just verbiage. Same with the
So-
deputy one, I mean, that's kinda,
Yeah, shall be appointed by the fire chief to act with full authority in the absence of the fire chief, and shall have responsibilities as set forth in any administrative rules and regulations adopted pursuant to section 5C.
the only thing I really wonder about, and this would be a lawyer issue or question, is everything we're doing really already say that in that, so you don't really need to verbiage it over and over and over?
I don't know.
But I mean, if we need it, we need it, if we don't, we don't, I mean,
Well, the only question I thought, we need an ordinance because some of these things say you have to do it this way unless you have an ordinance. And so-
Correct.
correct.
So if there's something that you disagree with in the statute, you need the ordinance. If not,
Right, but that's what I'm saying, is there something in the ordinance that says, that doesn't say that's what the fire chief, deputy chief is? If that statute defines a deputy fire chief as that, then you don't need a verbiage in it, cause you've already got it by statute. And honestly, it's the same thing as the firefighters, but,
correct.
but I'm fine with, I mean, that's pretty simple.
I mean, MMA, like.
They light it up there too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Article 8, I guess, is the question.
The fire chief may appoint other officers as deemed necessary. I thought we just discussed that, and it was part of his powers.
Yeah, has that asked us?
Well, that's a question we're gonna have to ask the
Yeah.
attorney, are we,
With approval from the,
Also, okay.
well, you could do the same thing. You could write, fire chief may appoint other officers as deemed necessary pursuant to section,
Article.
Article 5, section C, 5C above. And it would, I mean, you do the same exact thing. It's all back to that.
This,
And maybe that's the way to do that, because you keep it all on that same line. Everything says pursuant to Article 5C, section 5C.
Yeah, like that. Then you're not repeating it.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's said once.
Right.
And then you're going,
And then when,
referring
and when
back
this
to it.
ordinance is being considered,
It'll make it clean.
yeah.
The only thing too, Bridie, that I just noticed,
We're taking out B, so I'm gonna make that all B, okay.
Yeah, the firefighters are sort of hanging out there at the top of page
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. I'll move
but that
right-
one says, the other thing, so the firefighter one is right, yeah. Firefighter one says Article 5,
Right.
Section
above.
C,
Yeah.
above.
Yeah,
Deputy Fire Chief, we need to change because that says to Section 5, C above.
Article.
That should
Okay.
say article.
article, okay.
Still, going back to the very first paragraph on this page 2, that's sort of hanging out there. What is it?
It's firefighters, it just
It's-
needs, I need to put
It's
another.
an
I
is
need
it
to put
another
another-
article?
Yeah, right at the
Yeah.
bottom of page
Oh,
1.
I
need to
didn't,
put
oh,
another
I'm sorry,
space.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that, I'm sorry.
And it'll be 5B now,
Yep.
because we got.
No, you're not, you're gonna keep 5B.
No, but the compensation you got rid of.
No, you have to have it in there because it says in your thing, you have to have it in your ordinance.
Oh, we are gonna keep it now.
So you have to have the compensation, the fire
Seems
chief's
good.
compensation,
Will be.
Shall be
Okay.
established
Referencing
within
The policy,
right.
personnel.
All right, we got it, okay, good. So then severability, the invalidity of any portion of this ordinance shall not invalidate any other part thereof, that's very standard. Effective date, the ordinance shall be effective upon its adoption by the municipal legislative body. I don't know if we need to say that that invalidates the previous one, I don't.
You know what I would do? I would bring this forward as an amendment to the one we have.
Okay,
Can we do that, or do we have to abolish?
Replacement,
A replacement of,
a
amendment
replacement
or-
of, because what we currently have now is ambiguous.
please.
So we don't wanna amend it, we wanna.
Replace.
However you wanna, it's,
Right,
whatever.
There's a great deal of confusion as to what aspects of that are even
100%
enforced.
agree.
Yeah,
So we
so
just,
we need to-
whatever we're doing now completely replaces what we have.
I don't care the verbiage, as long as when we're all done, the other one is abolished and this is
Right.
going
Correct.
forward. Whether you wanna call it replace, amend, it is what it is. As long as we get there.
All right, so-
Amend almost makes me feel like a portion of it should be
Same,
left.
yeah, me
But
too.
And-
there won't be
Names is-
any.
This is the
It's the
new-
fire department.
Yes, it is pertaining to the fire department, but that's about the end of it.
Okay, so at some point, we're gonna have to put the fire department into the personnel
Yes,
policy,
Yeah,
but not to.
Not tonight, but before this goes forward to the
Yeah.
town, we ought to have that done.
Yes, okay.
So if anybody asks, what
what
does
is the
that mean,
policy, I
what
wanna
does
see
that
the
mean?
policy.
Yep,
Yeah, in fact, we can't really amend the personnel policy until we've done this, because we'll be changing the current status of how
Yeah, that's
they're
true.
dealt with.
That's true,
We'd have a policy that we weren't able to actually enforce.
that we're not using.
Correct. So we should have it completely ready,
correct.
but
And
when
we
this
have
is
it.
approved,
Right,
boom.
We have it in the
That goes to
policy.
next
Yeah, the
meeting,
policy
we'll-
passes.
we'll go
Right.
around.
We might even, we could check, if we, I don't know if we wanna get this detailed, we could agree to the change in the personnel policy effective upon the acceptance of this ordinance. And we could do that
anytime.
next meeting.
Yep, okay.
Maybe that gets our ducks, then total transparency,
Sure,
is
everybody can
anybody's gonna
see
get
it.
to see the
They can see
policy,
it.
so I like that.
Yeah, that's
That's
even
great.
better.
Okay.
And we can always post it as a draft until it's approved, until
Sure.
that point.
Yep,
Yep, that's great.
okay.
Ordinance, okay.
Are we done with this for now?
We are.
Alright.
Yeah, I think we made huge headway on that.
Yeah, that
Yeah, I
was,
think we're 98.9% there. On to, new business cemetery deed. Mark Eastler wishes to purchase plot 5 in row 1, Bailey Cemetery.
And,
oh, we just have to sign it?
Yep, and
Make a motion.
motion, yeah.
You sell all of the cemetery lots.
That's right. Is it okay if I use this blue pen?
Yeah. That one's kinda messy.
Yeah,
You want this one?
Yeah.
or I'll use this one.
Okay.
Sorry, okay, so, do you hear what I just said?
Do you wanna make a motion before you give this
Oh.
away?
Sure. I I would like to make a motion to, sell, the cemetery, plot 5 in row 1 of Bailey Cemetery to Mark Easler.
Second? Any further discussion? We vote, it's unanimous. I'll sign. Trust you, playing for you.
I
Thank you.
wasn't sure about the pen, so.
Okay, town manager report, classes?
Okay, Deputy Town Clerk has finished her motor vehicle classes, so very shortly she will have reached her 6-month probationary period and will be able to do registrations and most everything on her own.
Nice.
Good.
And then I have 2 classes coming up, one the FOAA and the other is on the planning board class.
Good idea.
As I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Very recently I've signed up for that one. Let's see, anything else? Oh, I take vacation the first week of October. I'm going to use 2 personal days and be gone from the 1st to the 11th. That includes weekend dates, but that's assuming that they're still open. Being way up north, I'm pretty sure I can go, so. Then I guess road commissioner. The Lime Road, I do not know the, I have not found the status yet. French's Mills, I got the,
Yeah,
that tree removed.
yeah, it's still, we gotta, I don't know if
There's
PJ will
something-
clean that up for us or not, but he's not gonna be able to mow, and there's still some sticks and
Yeah,
stuff there.
that's what John told me, there were still some sticks, I'd have to get somebody to
Yeah,
remove the little stuff, because he took the big stuff in his pulp truck. I called Steve Lawson about the sand pile, he's got it all at his
oh, good.
spot, he's got to coordinate salt, the newts,
Yep.
and
Great.
his trucks.
So it's moving forward.
But he said he'll have that done sometime mid-September.
Great.
And then I've talked to Dustin Lander, and I gave him our instructions about a plan. He's got his portion mostly done. He got a quote from Zach Herrick for groundwork, and he's still waiting for Jim French to give him a quote as far as foundation. And so in the next few days, he hopes to have that for your perusal. So I think that's
Okay,
most of, I think that's good for there.
correspondence? Central Maine Power.
I reached out to Central Maine Power because we have streetlights and I knew nothing about them, and I wanted to know a little bit more about the contract and where all my streetlights were and how many I had and general information that I thought would be good to know. They sent me a whole list of things, and then they wanted to know why I was requesting this information, because if it was about LEDs, they could save me some money if I went through them, although in all likelihood I could save more money if I went through another company.
Correct.
So I feel that's something I should look into. We have 24 streetlights, I think.
Wow.
Would never have guessed that. Would've
We
said
have one
lower
on
number.
Center Street. I'm hoping somebody can tell me where the heck Center Street is. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go out and look at poles.
What?
Well, we also have a bunch on Hudson Avenue, which I got them on our bill to change to Pleasant Avenue, but they haven't changed it here yet. But Center Street, I'm not sure
Where it is?
where it is, where they think
Do you
it
know?
is.
Center Street.
It might be
Is
easy
it-
to look at the map and look at the streets where you're kind of
Yeah,
see where you got them, and then
Yeah.
they'll tell you.
It's not up
I didn't know if
here.
it was what they might be calling the road when you go up over the hill, the road to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Do they call that different than when you're coming up the hill?
Could be.
I'm just thinking center, I mean, you gotta
Right,
have an
exactly.
intersection somewhere.
Alright,
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
I'll
We
see if
have
there's a light on there.
Back Sangerville Road, Center Street, Church Street, Hudson Avenue, Honeywell Avenue, Main Street, Mill Street, and the Parkman Road. Which I assume is repeaters. But so I'll look into that because I think there is some savings to be had there. Not much the way she quoted, but from a private company perhaps that there's some savings.
Even then, I mean, you start talking that type of work, by the time you pay a contractor with a bucket and the new fixture and, you know.
Yeah, it takes a
I
while
mean,
before you see it.
Yeah, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
when you're talking about a 10-year plan,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah,
No time for it to be an obsolete light, they're gonna come up with something better.
so.
Okay. Request for additional agenda items? Selectmen's concerns?
No?
Executive session? We are going to have a request for executive session under 1 MRSA 4056A. A is personnel. Do I have a
Right, number.
second? I've made that motion.
Second?
It's currently 6:33. We want to vote. We vote, we're now in executive.